We're back. Another Chatterbox. Today we've got David Exley from Ledgard Jepson. For everyone listening or watching, Ledgard Jepson are the agency who we work with as Cleveland Group, who do our website. They developed our new brand back in 2019 and continue to do all the brand stuff now. We did Cleveland High, Cleveland Modular now, and the group. Really good to have David with us. And today we're going to talk about all things brand, because it's come up on a few of the podcasts we've done. So I thought, let's bring in the expert and we'll talk about brand, not just for self-storage, brand in general, because I think there'll be some good takeaways for everyone listening who are self-storers, obviously, to think about how brand can influence the bottom line. That's what you said back in 2019, that a strong brand isn't just your logo. I'm doing your lines for you, but yes, a strong brand isn't just the logo, it affects your bottom line. So we'll get into all that today. So thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. No, thanks for inviting me.
No problem. So kick off with, what does brand mean?
Yeah, as you said, the cliche in our industry is it's more than just a logo. To illustrate it, it's probably the old iceberg diagram where the top of the pinnacle of the iceberg is what you see, your logo, your business card, and all those visual things. But actually, brand is what's below the surface. So it's about perception, it's about your customer service, it's about your product, it's about quality and all those kind of things. And quality doesn't have to be exceptionally good quality. So brands like Primark, they perform exceptionally well, but they're at the lower end of the market. So it's not necessarily about quality all the time. It's about knowing where your market is and making sure you've got a product and service that matches that. The visual aspect is really important because it shows quality. It makes people go, oh, that looks a quality outfit, looks professional, I'll go there. If you then turn up there and you get poor customer service, people are rude on the phone, all those kind of things, then your brand's almost destroyed straight away. I always use a story of a couple of years ago. I moved house and I've got house insurance, and I thought, I'll give them a ring and change my address. The guy on the other end of the phone says, it's going to be £45 to change your address. And I was fuming. And it's one of those things these days on social media, your immediate reaction is social media. So your brand is as fragile as one interaction because social media is so big. So yeah, it's really important to get your brand right from the start. Certainly the visual side of the brand, try not to do it with a bit of clip art, with a bit of Comic Sans underneath it. Try to make it as professional as possible. And setting off on that foundation. So don't just stick a logo up and hope that things will work well.
Definitely. I always think back to when we did our branding, we looked at cars and it was like BMW, terrible logo, but
yes,
really good product.
Yeah, it's also an investment as well. Cleveland, or hopefully Cleveland, is a great example of that investment in brand. Not only investing in it to start with, but consistently using it. Mm-hmm. You guys have gone one step further, and it just hasn't changed. It's just got that consistent approach. You've stuck with the black and yellow. Mm-hmm. It's on the walls. It's on your vans, and it's a great example of how a brand should be applied and used. You know,
where we're going as a business, we've always sold containers, but we don't just want to sell. We want to sell to everyone. We want to attract higher value customers. So it's like, how do we adapt the brand? Not rebrand it, but just adapt and tweak it to bring in new customers. So hopefully we'll kick off that soon. How can a customer help you if they come to you for a rebrand? Like, what's some good tips, would you say?
That's a good question, because we're asked to rebrand companies all the time. First of all, see it as an investment. That's the key thing. And I think also working with Cleveland, and I know you're our contact here, Lewis. So but it's having a client that's open-minded. A lot of clients come to us with their own ideas, and you do the same. But you're not saying that they're the right ideas. You're asking us for our creativity. So it's two-way. And I think that's, I want clients that are open-minded, but let us do our job. We'll often, my wife likes green, so can we have it green? We have all sorts of bizarre things, but just let us do our job, I think, would be the key to that. And use us like you do as a genuine partner to the business, not just a grudge buy. Because again, the website is tremendous, and it's testimony to the growth of the business, really.
Yeah.
And also when you come to expanding and you come to having a change of focus, like you said, we branded you in 2019. You're thinking about different customers, different targets.
It's the messaging.
Absolutely, yeah. It's about tweaking it all the time, but it's small tweaks rather than, oh, right, we're fed up with that logo, we'll have a new one.
If I came to you and said, right, I'm opening a new self-store site, go crazy. Where do you think you'd start with branding a self-store site?
We'd look at competition. We'll look at what else is out there. Look at how we can differentiate you within your local market, first of all. We'd also ask you aspirations, whether if you open up one in Newcastle, for example, and then you've got aspirations of opening in Glasgow and Manchester. So understand that. If it was just one, try to find any USPs that you've got. That might be location, it might be your service levels, it might be your security. Just to try to find things that we can leverage as your brand, so that your customers are confident that when they come to you, that they can get to the access to the stuff easy. They know it's safe. They know it's clean and dry, and all those kind of things that are important to a client if they're leaving the worldly goods in your charge. So you've got to show a confident brand that puts your customer's mind at rest immediately. And for me, it looks like people with self-storage units that I've seen around are almost a little bit lazy with it. They don't see brand as something that's important, and you just kind of see them a little bit handmade when they look at signage and websites. Do you want it to be an exceptionally good service-led proposition? People buy service, really good service. And if it's that one-to-one friendly service, you'll get repeat customers, which I think is important. Dare I say it, not the sexiest of sectors, but why not make it sexy? Why not make it look as good as it can do?
It's like when we were talking about Cleveland, like, I mean, there was in our old logo, we had I call it a block of cheese, but it was like a yellow container.
Yes.
And just because you do self-storage, you don't have to put a box in your logo or a padlock. Before it was Cleveland containers, we were thinking, do we just go Cleveland, drop the containers? Because when you walk past Starbucks, you don't say, oh, I fancy a coffee. You say,
I'll have a Starbucks.
I'll have a Starbucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, not falling that trap of, you don't have to just do a box or just call it something generic.
No, and also you've got to consider if you want a unique URL, a web URL that's unique. So that's why, Amazon, it's a river, but it's also, it's this massive thing. Google, as it's an unusual word. So just think outside the box, quite literally, in this case, where it could be anything. And of course, if it's something that's unusual, you can then own the URL, but it's also unusual, and it might attract customers. There's something that's just got something different. But I also think it needs underpinning with self-storage. I don't think you can afford in this sector to be too clever. You can be clever with your name, but make sure it's underpinned with self-storage.
It's a bit like Octopus Energy.
Great example, because it's got that customer friendly vibe about it. So make sure people know what you do, if you like. If it was, for example, Newcastle self-storage, it's straightforward. You know where you are and what you do. Whereas I think you can be think a little bit different, and like you said, be a bit more creative with your name and stand out.
Yeah, I think when people mention branding, you just think of the logo, which is the identity.
Yeah.
Say someone comes to you and wants to rebrand or want a brand making. What's the process of looking at an identity and process of getting to that finished concept?
Yeah, again, that's about understanding the product and the market. So, for example, when we did Cleveland, we weren't going to choose a nice thin font because you're in shipping containers. So our first thing was to find a really nice font that, was really bulky. And actually, in your case, we actually created our own because it's a bespoke piece of lettering. Because you're in self-storage, you've almost got to make it quite tough and strong because it's about safety and security and things like that. You want it to be really quite strong. So we would look at those kind of, making it quite bold and fit for purpose.
A bit like JCB or DeWalt.
Exactly.
Bold, strong logos because they supply bold, strong products.
Can't imagine that in Times New Roman, can you? You've got to make it fit for the job so that people go, oh yeah, self-storage, it looks secure.
Yeah.
But again, part of brand is when they come and see you, you've got to then take them through that security and just not assume that security is a big part of it. But it doesn't have to necessarily be in the logo as well.
Yeah. What is it? You've got a couple of seconds to make a good first impression.
Oh,
I think it's the same with a brand. I think you've got a few seconds to really someone look at it and think, I like that.
Because chances are you drive past these places, so you need to make sure that roadside that people know where you are. You look smart because every single part of that is a buying option. Whether you're buying a washing machine or self-storage, you need to have confidence in the person that you meet and then make sure you answer the phone on time. All those basic things of customer service, answering the phone, making sure your invoices are on time, and those kind of things, all important.
What are some top tips for you if, say, something goes wrong from a brand point of view? What can you do to maintain it, strong reputation, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, that when it comes to reputation, that's in your hands. You know, a great brand can only do so much because it is about you and your service levels. And I think that's why it's important from the outset. You set the standard of what that is and maintain it, which then comes into recruitment, becomes part of brand then, because you've got to recruit people that align with your brand and your vision. If they're not confident, for example, and you want them answering the phone, they've got to be confident, they've got to be customer driven. So when brands go wrong, and there's lots of examples of that, when, for example, people don't listen to the market, you know, you've got to constantly be on the cusp of the market and understand if you've got a relevant product. Are people still storing things? Classic example, like Blockbusters, they didn't listen to the market when they had shops full of videos. And of course they went bust, and probably rightly so, because they didn't listen to what was happening. It's about having your finger on the pulse all the time, not just setting up your self-storage unit and just hope that it'll be like that for 10 years. It's
a good point, listening to customers, isn't it? It reminds me of like the Apple. Yeah, the Apple II came out and massive flop after the original one because he closed off the circuit, but then people wanted to play with it, didn't they, and tweak it. And but then he left, and then he came back and listened and made a product that people want. So
exactly,
listen to your customers, what they want.
Yeah, invite feedback is a really good a good point. You know, get them to go onto Trustpilot. You know, and if there's a bad, you know, sometimes you might get a 1-star on Trustpilot, but learn from it as well, because you'll not get it right first time, I don't think, especially if you're new into the sector. Over the years, for example, your signage and your product will naturally get tired, you know, because it's an outdoor thing. Make sure that you keep things like that up to date and make sure that they're clean and tidy, and lots of little things. But I don't think it's something that you can just leave over the years. You've got to constantly be at that product and keeping the quality high, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So that kind of moves on to my next point quite nicely. It's about brand perception, and like negative and positive feedback affects brand perception and how brands make you feel. And that's one of the slides I remember from your first picture when we were talking about how brands make you feel. It's why you wear certain clothes or buy certain brand cars. That's something to think about when you're doing self-storage. It's how your brand makes people feel. And I think we always fall back to, we want to make people want to feel that their stuff's protected. So you've got to get your brand right from that point of view. That's where you want to style it in a certain way so people know that their stuff's going to be safe. People definitely buy on emotion. And like you said, it's why some people want to buy a Mercedes and they'll always buy that same brand because you know that you're getting that quality and it suits me as a person. I mean, go around in your daily life and just look at how many times you make an initial perception about something. And it's something I'm really big on when I talk to customers about brand is how does it make you feel? And then how does it make you feel when you don't get good service? And you've got to, there will be times when you give bad service. It's how you mitigate that. Give your customer a ring. Sorry about that. How can we make it better next time? It's how you rectify those mistakes. Yeah, definitely. So everyone knows what self-storage is, or pretty much everyone does. But it's like, why? What can it do? And to create more space at home, declutter. So and try to get that message across about why you need self-storage, not just what it is. Why you need it. On Story, you can buy brands. They've like already built some brands, like ready-made. My favourite one, Store Senior. What do you think? Brilliant. How good does that look? What's the other one? I did like the other one. It's Camel self-storage, because camels store water in their hubs. They do, So I thought that was quite a nice one. And there's loads of puns with that, aren't there? Yeah. And they're just off the shelf. They're off the shelf. Wow. But no, they're all brands that you can ready-made buy them, so it's an option for people. It is, yeah, it is. But they were two of my favourite, Camel and Store Senior. That needs to disappear. That needs to be used. Thanks for coming down. We've had a really good chat. Hopefully people listen can take some stuff away and think about their brand and how it can actually affect the bottom line. It's much more than just a logo. The key point we're trying to... It is, absolutely, Thanks for the invite and enjoyed that. Excellent. Cheers, David. Cool.
Chatterbox was brought to you by Cleveland Containers, the UK's leading supplier of new and used shipping containers and the largest supplier to the container self-storage market. If you're looking to enter the self-storage industry or streamline and expand your current site, talk to us about Box Plus, our one-stop service that can provide you with everything you need to set up and run a simple, remotely operated and profitable self-storage business. For more information, head to clevelandcontainers.co.uk and follow us on social media for more content on all things shipping containers and self-storage.